How's it going, lads and lasses? In this video we're going to be talking about the weight system in Remnant 2. This video kind of came about because I really like the Fae Royal armor here, and this armor just barely classifies as heavy armor. I wanted to see if there was a way to reduce my weight to make it work as medium armor, and I found some, so I figured I would show all the ways that I've found with you guys. So first I'm going to talk about the different classifications of armor weight, and then I'll get into the methods you can do to reduce your weight overall. So the first weight classification is light armor. That's going to be anything that weighs in total between 1 and 25 pounds. I'm just going to say pounds because that's going to make the video easier. So you'll see it's kind of got this cyan tint to it here on your weight. When you have light armor, you have the quickest dodge in the game. It has super quick follow-ups, and the dodge itself does not deplete stamina when you're in combat. The disadvantage is obviously you have super light armor, makes you an easier target, makes you easier to kill. For medium armor, that's going to be anything that weighs between 26 and 50 pounds. Medium armor is going to give you your standard dodge roll, standard speed, standard recovery rate, standard stamina depletion. You know, it's pretty much the average armor. A lot of armor is going to be classified under the medium category. Next you've got heavy armor, and that's going to be any armor that weighs between 51 and 75 pounds. As you can see here, the Fae Royal set altogether weighs 55, which is just barely classifying it as heavy armor, which irritated me. I wanted that normal dodge rate. So when you have heavy armor, the dodge is noticeably slower, the recovery is a bit slower, and it obviously takes more stamina when you're in combat. The advantage here is you're getting a little bit more protection. Our final classification is ultra heavy armor. That's going to be anything that weighs 76 pounds and up total. When you have ultra armor, your dodge is just going to be a belly flop. It's the slowest dodge, it has the slowest recovery, it takes the most stamina, but when you're wearing this ultra heavy armor and you're basically doing a tank build, you're not worried about dodging, you're worried about how much damage can I take without dying. And you know, that's the build you're going for, and you're going to focus your character around that build. So now that we've covered the different weight classifications, you might be like me and be thinking, well, hey, this Fae Royal armor is freaking badass. I want to be able to classify it as medium armor because I'm sick of the heavy dodge roll. How can I go about doing that? And you've got quite a few options before you. Your first option, the one that you can get right off the bat, is picking your Archetype class. If you pick the Challenger, the primary perk for that is the Strong Back. It reduces your Encumbrance by 1 for every level, all the way up to level 10. And once you've leveled up the Challenger archetype all the way to 10, you can use this perk with other archetypes. So I'm going to go ahead and switch real quick so you can look at my traits. You can see here's the Strong Back perk here, or Strong Back trait, I mean. The downside is you do have to spec some of your trait points into it, so keep that in mind. You know, trait points are a bit of a commodity in this game. You really got to be mindful of where you're putting them. So this might not be the ideal option for you unless you like the Challenger archetype. It's a pretty good one. You could definitely do worse than that, especially if you're just using it as your secondary archetype and you have the one that's your favorite as your primary archetype. It's not a bad thing to have. So now you might be asking, well, Shane, I don't want to use the archetype method. There's archetypes that I prefer and I want to save my trait points. And I totally understand that, and I even agree. So you actually have some amulet and ring options available. We'll go over the amulets first. I'm going to talk about my favorite, which is the Navigator's Pendant. There's actually two different versions of this amulet. The first version you find is the Rusted Navigator's Pendant. So as you can see the stats here, the refined version gives you 20 health, 20 stamina, and minus 10 armor encumbrance. When you find the Rusted version, it's going to give you 15 health, 15 stamina, but minus 15 in armor encumbrance. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. So you're going to find this amulet on Nerud in Astropath's Respite. It's going to be at the end of the world. You can see we're in the boss arena here, and we're going to go up this elevator. So here's where we are on the map. Something to note about this amulet, the reason why there's two different versions is because if your version of Nerud has you fight Telratha at the end, minor spoilers by the way, if you fight his metaphysical form, that's when he actually consumes you. It's going to refine that amulet. So if you want to keep the rusted version, you have two options. Either you never fight his metaphysical form, which, you know, that's kind of stupid, or you fight it before you get this amulet, and then never fight it again after that, because once you fought him and you've gotten the reward, you're good to go there. So just keep that in mind. So it's going to be in this room. I'm just kind of looking at every nook and cranny here. When I recorded this, I didn't realize that it wasn't going to show up for me after I'd already, I already had the amulet at this point. But where it shows up is on this body here where this little audio file is. It's going to be right next to him. So keep in mind that once you get this amulet, you can never get it again, not even just for 250 scrap like other amulets. It's just one and done. So when we wield it, as you can see, the whole set of the Fae Royal armor weighs 55 pounds, but putting the amulet on brings it down to 45, and now it classifies as medium armor. You get that medium dodge roll. You're good to go. This next amulet is actually the best item for reducing your encumbrance, but it doesn't have too many bonuses beyond that. That's Leto's amulet. How you get this is by doing 100 ultra heavy flops, and they don't have to be perfect flops. There doesn't need to be enemies nearby. In fact, I'm going to show you the best way to go about doing that right now. So Reggie's going to be the one who sells you the amulet. So the best place to do your belly flops is right in front of him. You want to do 100 in a row. Well, not in a row, but you just want 100 total, and you want to keep track. You want to count them, because there's no achievement or anything. It's just gonna happen at some point, and then you gotta go and check to see if he's selling it. So we're looking at my weight right now. It's at 80. When I put Leto's amulet on, brings it down to 54. So that is a significant weight loss there. And then if you accompany it with one of the rings I'm going to go over, you can actually set it so that Leto's Mark II armor is classified as medium weight armor. Before I get into the rings, there is one other amulet, and this is actually a returning amulet from the first game, the Twisted Idol. That's the amulet that I primarily used in the first game. This amulet is going to give you a 30% armor effectiveness increase, and it's going to reduce your encumbrance by 15. How you get it is through Cass. So as you can see, it's not here. I don't have it. I haven't been able to find it yet. But eventually, with her rotating inventory, she will sell it to you. I don't think it's personally the best option out of all of them, so I'm not worried about getting my hands on it. But I just wanted to go over it, since it is an item that reduces your encumbrance. So that's, something to keep an eye on. Anytime you're between worlds, check her inventory, see if she's selling it. So now we'll get into rings. You've got a couple options when it comes to rings. Actually, I think there's 3 good rings when you want to reduce your encumbrance. The first one I want to go over here is the Fae Protector Signet. This is one of my favorite rings. This one, it works well with the Navigator Pendant because it's the same type of bonuses, just reduced. You get 10 health and stamina, and your encumbrance is reduced by 5. Now how you would get this ring is minor spoilers, no big story spoilers, just one about a world boss. When you come across the council chamber on Loathsome, you're going to be talking to the council members who are trying to argue amongst themselves who's the one who betrayed the old king. Instead of going through with accusing the right person, if you accuse the wrong person, you have to fight them. When you win, you get this ring. Now I want to give a heads up, you are still going to have to go through the whole dungeon, go into the mirror, and get the evidence and all that in order to accuse the wrong person. So just, you know, heads up. So when you equip this ring, as you can see, I'm wearing the Fae Royal armor. Right now it's at 55 weight, and that brings it down to 50. That gives us that medium dodge speed. And that's just about all you need. I'm a poet, didn't you know it? So our next ring is right here, the Dran Memento. This one increases your stamina by 20 and reduces your encumbrance by 5. How you're going to get this is through the burning event on Losum. I've been most likely to find that on the version where you're going through the asylum as opposed to the palace. Just because you start out in the streets, it's easier to find. You're going to find it in one of the burning districts, but it would be in one of the worlds where you don't have the big clock tower event. If you're out, you know, in the streets, Morrow Parish, Iron Burrow, what have you, and you have instead the event where you have to find the lost children, if you find one of the burning districts there, that's where you're going to find this event. It's going to be called Butcher's Quarter. So your goal with this event is to just defend this guy. He's going to be tied up and they're going to be trying to burn him at the stake. It's a gauntlet event. They're going to be throwing guys at you. You just want to make sure that he lives, that they don't set the stake on fire, and then he'll give you the ring. So as you can see, my weight is 55 right now. When I put this ring on, that brings it down to 50. And again, that puts us in medium armor territory, and we're getting that medium armor dodge. So our last ring doesn't actually reduce your encumbrance, but it does make it so you don't have to reduce the encumbrance at all. That is the Bright Steel ring. This is also a returning ring, I believe. This gives the wearer the fastest evade roll regardless of their armor encumbrance. So I think the stamina drain is still the same, but you can be wearing Leto's armor Mark II and get the light armor dodge with it. So let's go ahead and put that ring on and test that out. So we're in full Leto Mark II, and we're getting the fastest dodge roll. So it's a really useful ring for tank builds and any kind of heavy build, really. You're going to buy this ring from Reggie. It's just going to show up. There's a lot of theories as to what you actually have to do to get the ring to show up in his inventory. The prevailing one right now is that you have to beat 15 worlds. That might just be 15 world bosses. I'm not exact. I don't know. Nobody really knows. At least as of making this video. People might have the answer at some point down the line. But yeah, right now it's up in the air a little bit. So those are all the options that I've come across to reduce your encumbrance in this game. There might be some that haven't been discovered yet. I didn't go over things that just speed you up. I wanted to just go over things that just flat out remove your encumbrance, excluding the Bright Steel ring. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.